The 15 Powers of a Scorpio, Part 1. Unveiling the soul of the Zodiac's most mysterious sign. Have you ever felt someone silently watching you, not with judgment, but with the eerie sensation that they already know who you are, deep down, beneath every mask you wear? That's not your imagination. That's a Scorpio. Scorpios are not just another sign in the zodiac wheel. They are a world of their own. They are intensity cloaked in mystery, tenderness hidden beneath armor, and fire flowing beneath ice. You can lie to a Scorpio. You can smile at them and pretend. But here's the truth. They already saw through you the moment you walked in. Welcome to the path to Buddhist wisdom, where we dive deeper than the surface. And today, we're entering Scorpio's domain. In this 10-part journey, we'll explore 15 extraordinary powers that only a Scorpio holds. And today, in Part 1, we begin with the two most essential: intuition and emotional depth. Crystal ball power number 1. The unshakable intuition. They just know. Scorpios were born with a lie detector in their soul. They don't need facts. They don't need time. They feel it. While the rest of the world listens to words, Scorpios tune into energy. Their intuition is not some vague sense. It's razor sharp, often alarming in its accuracy. They walk into a room and they feel the emotional temperature. They know who's nervous, who's plotting, who's in pain. They can pick up on heartbreak that's been buried for years. It's not witchcraft. It's the Scorpio sixth sense. Ballot box with check. Real-world example. Let me tell you about Clara, a Scorpio nurse I once knew. She had an eerie way of diagnosing patients before tests confirmed anything. One time, she touched a man's hand and said quietly, "Something's wrong with your pancreas." 2 weeks later, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 1. She had no scientific proof, only a feeling. That's the kind of chilling, miraculous insight Scorpios carry. Not always loud, but always there. Pushpin why this matters. This intuition protects them from betrayal, fake friends, and shady deals. But more than that, it allows Scorpios to be the advisors, the healers, the seers, those rare individuals who can guide others when logic fails. They make decisions others call lucky, but it's not luck. It's wisdom that comes from feeling truth before it's spoken. Water wave power number 2. Emotional depth. They feel what others fear. For most people, emotions are a weather forecast. Light rain, chance of tears, partly sunny. For Scorpios, emotions are storms. Scorpios don't feel more than others. They feel deeper. They don't touch the surface of joy or pain. They dive into the depths of human experience where few dare to go. They don't run from the darkness. They live there until they've mapped every corner of it. Broken heart, true story. A Scorpio man I once mentored lost his mother suddenly at the age of 20. It shattered him. But instead of suppressing the grief, he sat with it, wrote about it, and let it consume him. 2 years later, he released a best-selling memoir that helped thousands navigate their own grief. That's the thing about Scorpio. They transform pain into power. Milky Way spiritual insight. Pluto, their ruling planet, governs death, rebirth, and transformation. So Scorpio's emotional intensity isn't a curse, it's a portal. They are reborn through every heartbreak. Each tear becomes a tool, each loss a lesson, each betrayal a blueprint for rebirth. Pushpin why this matters. Most people avoid pain. They numb it, deny it, or distract themselves. But Scorpios know something deeper. Pain is the gateway to truth. They don't just survive storms. They become the storm. And when it's over, they emerge changed, wiser, and more powerful than before. Locked power number 3. Loyalty like a blood oath. When a Scorpio chooses you, it's not casual. It's not light. It's eternal. They don't kind of care. They don't maybe support you. Their loyalty is sacred, fierce, and unyielding, almost tribal in nature. To a Scorpio, loyalty is not just a virtue. It's a bond of blood. Drop of blood loyalty to friends. Scorpios will defend their friends in rooms they aren't even in. They'll fight battles quietly in your name. If someone wrongs you, they'll never forget. Even if you forgive, they won't. Because when they love, they protect, and their memory doesn't fade. Shield loyalty in love. If you've ever been truly loved by a Scorpio, you'll never forget it. They pour themselves into the people they love. Not in half measures, but in soul, skin, and shadow. They love you so deeply that even in silence, you feel it. Even in distance, it lingers. Broken heart. And when that loyalty is betrayed, you don't just lose a partner or a friend. You lose someone who would have burned the world to keep you safe. Pushpin real-life story. There was a Scorpio woman named Maya who once cared for her childhood best friend through cancer treatments, risking her own career to be present at every appointment. She cooked, cleaned, advocated, and cried behind closed doors. When her friend survived, she called Maya her guardian angel. That's not unusual for a Scorpio. They don't just stand by you. They merge their soul with yours. Magnifying glass tilted left. Why this power matters. In a world where loyalty is often cheap and temporary, Scorpio's devotion is rare and radiant. It makes them fierce allies, protectors, and lovers. But it also makes betrayal deadly, because when they finally walk away, it's forever. Fire power number 4. The Phoenix Effect, Scorpio's gift of reinvention. Some people break. Some people bend. Scorpios burn and rise again. This is the essence of the Scorpio symbol, the phoenix rising from ashes. They are the alchemists of life. They take betrayal, heartbreak, failure, and forge it into wisdom, fire, and power. They don't avoid the fall. They embrace it. Collision life crisis? That's transformation fuel. While others drown in regret, Scorpios descend into darkness willingly. They go quiet. They disappear. And when they return, they're unrecognizable. Stronger, smarter, more guarded, yes, but more powerful. DNA spiritual meaning. This is Pluto's domain, death and rebirth. Every time a Scorpio is betrayed, fired, heartbroken, humiliated, they experience a kind of soul death. But it's never the end. It's the beginning of their next evolution. Pushpin real-life Phoenix story. A Scorpio man named Darius once lost everything in a scandal. His reputation, his career, his confidence. For 6 months, he was a ghost, silent, rebuilding. Then came his rebirth. A book, a TED Talk, a consulting empire. He didn't just recover, he transcended. When asked how he did it, he said, "I let it kill me. Then I came back." Fire why this power matters. Scorpios don't just survive. They self-destruct on purpose, because they know something most people fear. Sometimes you must let the old self die to meet the real you. That's why they terrify others. You can burn them, bury them, betray them, but you can't kill a Scorpio's spirit. It will rise. Again, and again, and again. Crystal ball power number 5. Emotional intelligence. Reading people without words. While others listen to what is said, Scorpio listens to what is not said. They pick up on every hesitation in a voice, every flicker of discomfort in a glance, every subtle shift in body language. Their minds record it like film, and their hearts decode it in real time. This isn't emotional guessing. It's emotional intelligence in its rawest form, the ability to feel what someone else is going through without them saying a word. Scorpio doesn't need you to explain why you're upset. They already saw the change in your eyes. They felt the way your energy dimmed when you walked in. They noticed the pause you took before answering that one question. You think you're hiding something. You're not. This ability doesn't come from books or psychology degrees. It comes from living in the deep end of human emotion, where Scorpio has always been most at home. They've studied themselves through heartbreak, betrayal, grief, love, rage, and silence. That self-study has made them masters at reading others. Magnifying glass tilted left real-world example. Take Alex, a Scorpio high school counselor. He had a student who was doing fine on the surface, grades good, attendance perfect, polite in class. But Alex felt something. A deadness in the boy's energy. A disconnection behind the smile. He called him in one afternoon and simply said, "You don't have to carry it alone, you know." The student broke down in tears. Turns out, he was hiding abuse at home no one knew about, not even his closest friends. But Alex saw what others didn't, the quiet pain beneath the performance. That's what makes Scorpio so dangerous and so sacred. They can see right through you, but they don't always expose it. Instead, they carry the knowledge. They carry you. Brain why this power is unique. Emotional intelligence in Scorpio isn't just empathy, it's penetration. They feel what people won't admit. They connect dots others don't even see. In a room full of people talking nonsense, they're the only one listening to the truth behind the noise. That's why they make incredible therapists, strategists, lovers, and leaders. Not because they control people, but because they understand them in ways even those people don't understand themselves. This is why you can't fake it with a Scorpio. They don't deal with the version you present. They deal with the real you, the one you haven't met yet. Performing arts power number 6, the master of masks, layers no one can penetrate. While Scorpio can read anyone, almost no one can read Scorpio. They are walking paradoxes, intensely open and completely closed. Vulnerable but shielded, present yet unreachable. Every Scorpio is like a house with many locked doors, and you might be standing in the hallway thinking you've made it inside. But the real Scorpio? They're in the basement, watching you through a hidden camera, deciding whether to hand you the next key. Why all the secrecy? Because Scorpio knows better than anyone. Not everyone deserves access. They've seen what happens when you show people your soul too soon, how curiosity becomes exploitation, how love becomes leverage, how openness becomes a weapon. So they don't give people the full picture. They give you just enough. Enough to intrigue, enough to connect. But the core? The truth beneath the truth? That's locked under layers of memory, pain, instinct, and fierce self-protection. Locked the strategic mask. Scorpio doesn't wear masks to deceive. They wear them to observe. While you're busy revealing your thoughts, they're studying patterns, measuring loyalty, calculating risks. Every version of themselves that Scorpio shows you is true, but never complete. It's like seeing one color from a full spectrum. You only get what they allow, and they never allow everything. Light bulb example, public versus private Scorpio. In public, a Scorpio may be charismatic, composed, even extroverted. People admire their control, their mystery. But in private, they might be emotionally intense, affectionate, even wildly expressive with those they trust. It's not contradiction. It's containment. Scorpio controls what energy goes where. Magnifying glass tilted right even in love. Even if you're their partner, you'll often wonder if you know all of them. You might think, there's a part of them I've never touched. And you'd be right. Because Scorpio always keeps one piece for themselves, untouched, unseen, and sacred. Why this power is terrifying. This ability to be unreadable gives Scorpio an enormous advantage. In negotiations, relationships, rivalries, they never play all their cards. And you never quite know where you stand. You might feel close and still sense the distance. Not because they don't care, but because they know that once people have access to your depths, they can try to control them. Scorpio refuses to be controlled. This power also makes them survivors. When the world crashes, they don't panic. They disappear. Recalibrate. Return as someone no one expected. Scorpio wears armor laced in charm. You think you're inside, but you're only seeing the mask, never the map underneath. Milky Way power number 7. Magnetic presence. The energy that pulls without trying. There's something about a Scorpio that makes people stare twice. They don't need to say a word. They don't need flashy clothes or loud personalities. Yet the moment they walk into a room, heads turn. People feel it, like static in the air, like gravity shifting. This isn't charisma in the conventional sense. It's not loud or theatrical. It's magnetism. Quiet. Intense. Inevitable. Scorpio's magnetic pull comes from a deep, internal energy that pulses beneath the surface. They exude mystery, confidence, danger, and allure, all at once. You may not understand why you're drawn to them. You just are. Magnet, it's not about looks. Yes, many Scorpios are physically attractive, but that's not what makes people linger. It's the vibe, a subtle but powerful signal that says, there's something more here. Something powerful. Something I want to understand, but can't. Even when they're not trying, Scorpios emit intensity. They speak with their eyes more than their mouths. They can seduce with a glance, intimidate with a pause, and command attention with absolute silence. Light bulb example, silent impact. Imagine a Scorpio sitting at the corner of a dinner party, barely speaking. Yet somehow, they're the one everyone wants to impress. People find themselves wondering, why do I care what they think of me? It's not because the Scorpio asked for attention. It's because they carry energy that demands to be felt. This magnetic field is not accidental. It comes from their connection to their own emotional depth and power. Most people scatter their energy. Scorpios contain it. And because of that, people sense power before words are ever spoken. Pushpin, the hidden effect. This presence can attract lovers, followers, friends, and even enemies. People become obsessed. They want to get closer, sometimes even at the risk of hurting themselves. That's the danger of Scorpio's magnetism. It's not just attractive, it's consuming. And Scorpios know this. They use it carefully, strategically, sometimes unknowingly, but always potently. Chess pawn power number 8. Strategic mind, always 10 steps ahead. Scorpios are not impulsive. They don't blurt. They don't rush. Why? Because they're always thinking ahead. In the game of life, Scorpio isn't playing checkers. They're playing 4D chess. Every move is calculated. Every word is intentional. Even their silence is strategic. While others react emotionally, Scorpio steps back and studies the entire board. They want to understand the hidden motives, the unspoken agendas, the true power dynamics. And when they finally move, it's with precision, and usually when no one expects it. Brain long-term vision. Scorpios don't just plan for today. They plan for 5 years from now. They will stay in a job they hate because they're quietly building something behind the scenes. They will forgive someone, temporarily, just to observe more. They will walk away from a fight, not out of weakness, but because the real revenge is set for later. Scorpios understand timing better than anyone. They know when to strike, when to hold back, and when to vanish altogether. Briefcase example, the quiet climber. There's a Scorpio woman named Eliza who started at a corporate firm as an assistant. She said little, observed much. Over 5 years, she built quiet alliances, documented patterns, learned everyone's secrets, while staying humble and quiet. Then one day, an executive position opened up, and Eliza made her move. The CEO later said, "We had no idea she was paying attention to everything. She just knew how this place really worked." That's Scorpio. They don't show all their tools. They sharpen them in silence. Pushpin why this power is so formidable. While others chase quick wins, Scorpio waits for the right win. Their strategy isn't always about control. It's about survival, influence, and protecting what matters. They're not loud about their plans because they know the loudest person is usually the weakest. They master the art of playing the fool in front of the wise, and the wise in front of the fools. People often underestimate Scorpio until it's too late. Pole power number 9. Fearlessness in darkness. What breaks others builds them. Scorpio is not afraid of the dark. In fact, they thrive in it. While other signs seek light, comfort, and safety, Scorpio walks straight into discomfort, chaos, and emotional abyss. And not because they enjoy suffering, but because they know the only way out is through. This is what makes Scorpio one of the most resilient beings in the Zodiac. They're not interested in pretending things are fine. They want the raw truth, even if it's ugly, painful, or terrifying. They're not broken by trauma. They're transformed by it. They face what others fear. Pain doesn't scare them. Grief doesn't paralyze them. Loss doesn't define them. Scorpios have the rare power to stand face to face with suffering and say, "Come, I can take it." This doesn't mean they're cold. Quite the opposite. They feel more deeply than most, but they also refuse to be ruled by fear. Pushpin surviving the shadow self. Most people run from their own demons. Scorpios sit down and have coffee with them. They explore their own darkness, their hidden wounds, their deep rage, shame, lust, and loneliness. Why? Because they understand that to truly grow, you must integrate, not deny, your shadows. Brick real example, building strength through hell. There was a Scorpio man who lost his wife and child in a tragic accident. For a year, he didn't speak much. Friends feared he was lost. But he was not destroyed, he was transforming. 3 years later, he opened a foundation in their names that now helps thousands of grieving parents across the country. What would have broken others became the very fuel for his purpose. Light bulb why this power is rare. True fearlessness isn't about being reckless. It's about being able to face everything, including the worst of life, and still come out whole. Scorpios don't pretend the darkness doesn't exist. They just refuse to let it consume them. Instead, they take its hand and walk through it until it bows to their will. Muted speaker power number 10. The power of silence. Speaking without saying a word. Most people are afraid of silence. Scorpio? They weaponize it. They understand something most people never learn. Silence speaks louder than words. A Scorpio's silence isn't emptiness. It's full of meaning. It can communicate disappointment, fury, protection, power, or peace, all without a single syllable. In conversation, they'll pause before responding. Not because they're unsure, but because they want you to reveal yourself. In conflict, they'll go quiet, not to retreat, but to calculate. When a Scorpio withdraws, it's not avoidance. It's strategy. Brain silence as a psychological tool. A Scorpio can sit across from you and say nothing, and you'll feel your own secrets bubbling up. That's the effect they have. Their presence in silence forces reflection. People often say, "I can't tell what a Scorpio is thinking." That's the point. They don't give away power. They let you project into the void. And while you're busy guessing, they're watching, learning. Cross towards silence and conflict. Scorpios don't scream when they're angry. They go silent. And that silence? It cuts deeper than any insult. Because it's not just absence, it's intentional withdrawal of emotional presence. It leaves the other person wondering, what are they thinking? Are we okay? Have I lost them? Sometimes, that doubt is more haunting than 1,000 words. Pushpin the sacred space of inner silence. But silence isn't only a weapon. For Scorpio, it's also a sanctuary. They use it to process, to heal, to regenerate. In moments of crisis, they don't spiral outward. They retreat inward. They journal, meditate, walk alone, sit with pain until it gives them answers. They don't need constant stimulation. They need space, and in that space, they often find clarity that others miss. Locked with key why this power matters deeply. In a world obsessed with noise, Scorpio holds the rare ability to sit in silence and control the energy of a room without effort. Their silence can feel like a vacuum, a presence, a mirror, a mystery, and sometimes it speaks louder than thunder. Red Heart Fire Power number 11, possessive devotion. When they love, they claim. Scorpio does not love casually. They do not give affection out of politeness. When a Scorpio chooses you, it is with full intensity, full commitment, and full possession. To love a Scorpio is to be seen, protected, cherished, and marked spiritually, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. You're not just in a relationship. You've become a part of their internal world, and they've wrapped their energy around yours like armor. They don't say mine out loud, but you feel it in the way they look at you, protect you, get jealous, and even pull away when you hurt them. It's not control. It's possession born of sacred attachment. Ring love as territory. To Scorpio, love is not just emotion, it's territory. They don't want a piece of your heart. They want the whole map, your desires, your fears, your past, your thoughts at 3 a.m. They want to know where you've been and where you dream to go. And once they decide you're theirs, they'll protect that bond with their life. Their possessiveness isn't always loud or toxic. Often, it's subtle. It's in the constant checking in, the deep questions, the way they remember the smallest detail about you, even if you said it once, months ago. Red-heart adhesive bandage they don't let go easily. This devotion comes with a cost. If things end, Scorpio doesn't just move on. They carry a psychic scar. Even years later, they remember your birthday, your scent, the way you laughed at stupid jokes. You live in them like a ghost, and they'll never admit how often they think of you. Pushpin why this power feels overwhelming. Scorpio's love is a storm and a shelter. It can consume you, heal you, challenge you. And if you're not ready to be truly known, deeply claimed, and spiritually bound, you'll drown in it. But if you can hold it, you'll never feel safer, more desired, or more protected. Because to be loved by a Scorpio is to be chosen beyond logic and kept beyond time. Speech bubble power number 12. Eyes that see through souls, their gaze is X-ray. There is no look in the Zodiac quite like a Scorpio's. Their eyes don't just look at you. They study you, strip you, skin you like an emotional MRI machine. It's not threatening, it's unnerving. Because somewhere inside, you know they're seeing parts of you even you try to hide. Their stare holds layers, stillness, power, seduction, judgment, empathy, and fire. It's hypnotic, unforgettable, often wordless, and still more expressive than speech. Magnet why people look away. When Scorpio locks eyes with you, there's nowhere to hide. Some people flinch. Others look down. Why? Because that gaze touches things they've buried, secrets, insecurities, desires. Scorpio doesn't even have to say anything. The intensity in their eyes does the interrogation. Detective reading truth through pupils. They watch your expressions, the dilation of your eyes, the flicker of uncertainty. They're not just observing, they're decoding. And the eerie part? They're rarely wrong. Scorpios are experts at emotional micro-expression. They sense discomfort, attraction, lies, betrayal, longing, all from the way your eyes shift when you speak. Crystal ball the gaze is power. In both love and conflict, a Scorpio's eyes become their sword and their shield. In romance, their gaze makes you feel like you're the only person in the room and that you're standing naked in every way that matters. In argument, they won't raise their voice, but they'll look at you in a way that makes you regret everything. It's not manipulation. It's energetic dominance. Pushpin the last layer. Even if you know a Scorpio for years, their eyes still hold mystery. They show you only what they want. Sometimes warm, sometimes cold. Sometimes inviting, sometimes unreadable. But beneath it all, they're watching. Not to control, but to understand. Not to judge, but to feel the truth you won't speak. Because for Scorpio, the eyes are not windows to the soul. They are weapons of insight, intimacy, and quiet fire. Fire power number 13. Transformational impact. Everyone changes after Scorpio. No one walks away from a Scorpio untouched. They don't just come into your life. They enter your soul, rearrange your thoughts, shake up your worldview, and then leave a permanent imprint. Scorpio doesn't ask for permission to transform you. It happens naturally, almost spiritually. You may not even realize it until much later. Being close to a Scorpio feels like being placed under a microscope. Your strengths, your fears, your hidden dreams, they all rise to the surface. And somehow, you start to change. Cyclone Scorpio is a catalyst. They don't simply influence people. They awaken them. They force you to confront truths you've been avoiding about your relationships, your worth, your path, your past. Sometimes this feels beautiful. Sometimes it feels like fire. But it always leaves you more real than before. Tornado, why people never forget them. You might not speak to that Scorpio anymore. You might even have parted ways on bad terms. But you still think about them. About what they made you feel. About the things they said. About the mirror they held up to your life. Scorpios don't need to try to change others. Their mere presence challenges people to evolve. Pushpin example, the mirror effect. A woman once described her Scorpio ex like this. He saw things in me that I hadn't yet dared to look at. After him, I couldn't go back to the person I was before because I'd met the raw version of myself. That's the Scorpio impact. They don't change you into something else. They introduce you to who you really are, underneath the masks, fear, and pretense. Recycling symbol why this power can be painful. Not everyone is ready to meet themselves. And because of that, Scorpio can feel too much. People run from them, accuse them of being intense, dramatic, cold, or confrontational. But the truth is, Scorpio simply refuses to let you stay asleep. And once you've met that kind of energy, you'll never be satisfied with surface-level anything ever again. Compass power number 14. Obsession with truth. They can't stand lies, even beautiful ones. Scorpio's relationship with truth is not intellectual. It's emotional. They crave it like oxygen, and they suffocate in environments built on dishonesty, denial, or avoidance. They can sense when something doesn't align. Even if the lie is small, even if it's harmless, Scorpio feels it in their bones. Their skin crawls. Their mind won't let it go. They don't want the polished version. They want the real story, even if it's messy, even if it hurts. Warning, they don't tolerate half-truths. You can't say it's fine when it's not and expect a Scorpio to let it go. You can't fake a smile and pretend all is well. They see through it. You can't lie for their own good because to them, a lie is a violation. It's not about being suspicious. It's about craving depth. Scorpio would rather deal with an ugly truth than be comforted by a pretty lie. Magnifying glass tilted left their inner lie detector. Most Scorpios are natural interrogators, not because they're trying to trap you, but because they're searching for the root. The why behind the action. They'll keep digging, asking, watching until the truth reveals itself. And here's the thing. They're rarely wrong. Even if they can't explain it, they just know when something is off. Firecracker example, the truth slayer. A Scorpio woman once ended a 10-year friendship not because of betrayal, but because the friend constantly avoided honest conversations. Always saying what was nice, never what was real. One day she said, "If you can't be honest with me, we don't really have anything." That's how seriously they take it. Truth is not optional in their world. It's the foundation. DNA, the deeper layer. Scorpio's obsession with truth isn't about others only. It's also self-directed. They confront their own lies, their own denial, their own hypocrisy. They'd rather be raw and real than comfortable and fake. This constant search for truth is what makes them powerful, but also restless. They're always peeling back layers in others and in themselves. Because Scorpio doesn't want a peaceful life. They want a true one. Skull and Crossbones fire power number 15. Death and rebirth, the sacred gift of eternal reinvention. If there is one word that defines Scorpio above all others, it is this: transformation. But not surface change, not switching jobs or buying new clothes. Scorpio's transformation is spiritual, total, destructive, and sacred. They are the only sign in the Zodiac that must die to truly live. Their life is a series of emotional deaths and spiritual rebirths. They are constantly shedding skins, identities, beliefs, people, and even dreams over and over again. Each version of themselves dies when its time has passed. And from the ashes, someone new is born. Eagle the phoenix within. Scorpio's true symbol is not the scorpion, it's the phoenix. This mythical creature dies in flame and is reborn from its own ashes. It doesn't fear destruction. It embraces it because it knows that what rises afterward is purer, stronger, and wiser. That's Scorpio. When others cling, they release. When others fear endings, they walk into them. Not because they enjoy pain, but because they trust the cycle of transformation. Moon, they don't just evolve. They erase. A Scorpio doesn't slowly shift into a new version of themselves. They vanish. They go silent. They cut off the world. They delete old photos, abandon old paths, burn the bridge without looking back. And when they return, you almost don't recognize them. But you feel the power. You feel the silence that now speaks louder. You feel the healed wounds that have turned into armor. DNA is spiritual awakening. This process isn't just emotional. For many Scorpios, it's spiritual. They lose themselves in heartbreak, then find deeper purpose. They fall from power, then build something no one expected. They're betrayed, then become the ones others turn to for wisdom. Pain is not punishment for them. It is the crucible that reshapes their essence. Lightbulb real story. The death that saved her. A Scorpio woman once lost her job, her fiancé, and her home, all in the same month. She went dark. No one heard from her for almost a year. When she came back, she had moved to another city, changed her name, launched her own business, and was mentoring survivors of abuse. She didn't just heal. She was reborn. That's the power of Scorpio. They don't just survive what would destroy others. They alchemize it. Brain, why this power is divine. In a world terrified of endings, Scorpio holds the rare ability to walk into the fire voluntarily. To burn what no longer serves. To leave behind comfort for truth. To sacrifice who they were, so they can become who they are meant to be. This is not just power. This is sacred transformation. And it is what makes Scorpio eternal. Direct call to action, spoken from the heart. If this video stirred something in you, if you recognized yourself in these words, or you simply admire the unstoppable force of Scorpio energy, then let's keep going deeper together. Glowing star, subscribe to this channel, The Path to Buddhist Wisdom. Because here, we don't just talk about astrology. We awaken ancient truths. We merge mysticism with mastery. And we honor every soul's path to greatness. Hit that bell. Leave a comment. And remember, the most powerful journey is the one within.